interesting dark tinge to it. It is a story of grief, of unfinished business with the departed, but also has this kind of thin underline of psychological disturbance, obviously, with what we see the main character do, or rather not do, with his father's body. It's beautifully tragic and almost Shakespearean in a way, and also has this brash confidence in showing a gay sex scene without any sense of shame to it.
I really thought this piece was beautiful. I think the image of who I'm assuming to be his father reaching for him and like him reaching for his father and that kind of like imitation of art meeting life was so beautiful. That I don't know what the piece is called, but where like the two fingers are touching. I instantly knew that what that was from. I thought that was really cool. Character wise, I really loved I'm assuming it's the girl best friend. She's such a mood and I think a great foil from him. Whereas, he of course has accepted his sexuality, but it seems like because of his father and the ideals he had regarding the church and like thinking that being gay is a sin, I feel like you can kind of tell he's become a bit of a recluse as opposed to the girl who's very outward and open and she's just like, I love being a lesbian type of energy. I really, really liked that. I think having the sex scene be in front of the church to kind of like be a way for him to confront the negative hold religion has had on him was a very interesting choice. And I honestly really, I respect it a lot because I know there's like a push pull tug of like how he wants to feel about it, and it hasn't really done him any good. And now his dad's gone, and they can't reconcile, and like he doesn't know who to blame but religion. So I thought that was a really interesting take on it, and overall, I thought this was a great piece. I think the lead actor did a great job as well.
Really, really fascinating. You have many different things going on here, and I feel like they kind of took those different layers, the emotional layers, and they layered them really well. They stacked them really well. Um, and it turns into this really complex thing. You have someone who's grieving for his father that clearly had a good relationship or a better relationship with his dad than his sibling did. He was taking care of him at the end, all of those things. But then you add into it, his father's beliefs and what he heard his whole life, and obviously the experience that his sister, it had as well, and then his own lack of freedom or his own spirit like being hidden and not being able to be honest with his dad because of all of these other things. And then again you have the grief kind of layered into it, and the kind of shock I feel like, I can only imagine, but if you didn't feel like you were free, if you didn't feel like you could be honest or be authentic or be yourself for so long, and then what was kind of preventing all of those things is now suddenly not an issue anymore, like the passing of his dad, I feel like it would be hard to kind of break out of that shell again and to behave without trying to, like police yourself all the time. And like I said, I thought that they layered all of these things really, really well because it ends up being a very, very complex emotional time. And I think they portrayed that really, really well. You have like anger and you have rebellion and you have guilt and you have grief and you have, all of them just kind of spiraling and competing for what's top, what the top emotion you're going to feel at that time.
I really appreciated how in the beginning we have that heart monitor constantly going to signify his father living and dying. We have that heart monitor constantly going even when you can't even see the father, or when the father is not even in the scene at all. You hear that heart monitor until it stops and the father has passed away. And I thought that was really cool because with that, you really felt his loss. You really felt it in the silence after hearing that for so long, and then suddenly having it cut off. You felt his absence a lot like the son is feeling his absence in his life, and you're feeling it because you're in this complete silence of background noise now, and I thought that was cool. Um, I liked the subtle, or maybe not so subtle, recreation of the painting creation. I thought that was a neat visual addition there. But yeah, I thought this film tackled some really heavy issues, not issues, or really heavy subject matter, like grieving someone that had wildly different views from you, who never truly knew the real you. So your relationship was not based on a lie, but it wasn't as truthful as it could be, and now they're gone and they'll never know the real you. So grieving that, grieving the person, grieving what could have been, there was a lot that they tackled here, and I thought the actors did a great job of portraying that.
It's very dynamic. I really did not expect that ending. It was about a man coping with his father dying, and in the father's final moments, he still could not admit to him that he's gay. In the end, he ends up having sex in front of a church and with a dead body in the other room that he knew about, who I'm thinking they were implying was his father, as a final way of coming to terms with not telling him about this big piece of his identity. I think that the beginning had a really cool moment where they showed him and his dad as he was about to die, and it looks like they kind of were trying to replicate the Creation of Adam painting by Michelangelo, and where they're almost touching. And in the scene, I think it was signifying being so close yet so far apart, because he really loved his father, but he was still hiding this huge part of himself, and couldn't bring himself to tell him. This was a really fascinating watch, and I really liked that they really didn't hold back any shock value and emotion, and I think that it made it all the more engaging for the audience.
I love the attention to detail, to the visuals. It's really beautiful to see the city and the landscape, and the music is also very classical. There's this sense of a rich history in art, and I think that lends itself well to the theme that's being explored in the short film. Really great experience overall to enter this and kind of experience it from this artistic, thematic perspective as the events unfold for the character.